Assalamualaikum. This is Rokia Samia welcoming you all to the English news from BTV Chattogram. Let's begin with the headlines. Pakistan Prime Minister Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif congratulates Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus, hoping goodwill between two South Asian countries to be translated for people's benefit. Relatives of victims of enforced disappearances looking for near and dear ones as related information coming out after fall of Sheikh Hasina's government. People start returning to houses from shelters as flood water starts receding. Around 172 crore US dollar remittance received during first 24 days of August. Israel agrees to humanitarian pauses to allow for polio vaccinations beginning on 1st September in Gaza. And first day's play of second and final test between Pakistan and Bangladesh called off due to persistent rain and wet outfield at Rawalpindi. Viewers, those were the headlines. Now moving on to the details. Pakistan Prime Minister Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif congratulated Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus over telephone on his assumption of the leadership of the interim government of Bangladesh. The Pakistan Prime Minister expressed his best wishes to the Chief Advisor and hoped that the goodwill between the two South Asian countries would be translated into substantial cooperation for the benefit of their people. Chief Advisor Professor Yunus thanked Prime Minister Sharif for the phone call and the congratulatory message. The Chief Advisor also thanked the Pakistan Prime Minister for sending a message conveying sympathy and solidarity of the people of Pakistan for the flood victims of Bangladesh. Prime Minister Sharif expressed his willingness to provide support to the people affected by the floods in southern and southeastern parts of Bangladesh. The Pakistan Prime Minister stressed the need to reinvigorate the SAARC process. The Chief Advisor said he is committed to revitalizing SAARC as a top regional forum to boost ties among the South Asian nations. He highlighted the necessity of holding regular SAARC summits and stressed holding even a brief meeting among the heads of state and governments of the SAARC states at the earliest convenience. The information of extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, and the Ainakar, a confinement center, is coming out after the fall of Sheikh Hasina's government by the mass upsurge led by the anti-discrimination student movement. During the 15-year rule, the Awami League-led government went for extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, as well as confining people to the Ainakar to suppress dissent opinions, including journalists. Following the realities, Bangladesh is observing the International Day of Protection from Enforced Disappearances today. The interim government constituted an independent probe commission led by a justice to ensure trial for the culprits involved in the heinous crimes. The commission was asked to submit reports by 45 working days. According to human rights organization Uthikar, approximately 700 people were the victims of enforced disappearances during the 15-year rule of Sheikh Hasina-led government. Bangladesh yesterday signed the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearances. Relatives of the people who were the victims of enforced disappearances are still looking for their near and dear ones. They organized human chains at the Central Shohid Minar and the Jatiyo Press Club today with photographs of the victims. At that time, relatives of the victims of enforced disappearances broke down in tears. They hoped that the interim government will take necessary measures to rescue the victims. The independent probe commission formed by the interim government will ensure punishment of the culprits involved in enforced disappearances, they added. Relatives of the victims of enforced disappearances also said during the rule of Sheikh Hasina-led government, many people were the victims of enforced disappearances and torture. Flood water in Feni, Noakhali, Kumilla, Lokhipur and Molphibaza started receding. People have also started returning to their houses from shelters. The death toll from the recent flood in southeast region in the country has climbed to 54. Of the death toll, 41 are male and 13 are female and children. Among the deceased, 14 people died in Kumilla, 19 in Feni, 6 in Chattogram, 8 in Noakhali, 3 in Cox's Bazar and 1 each in Khagrachari, Brahmanbaria, Molphibaza and Lokhipur districts respectively, said a notification of Disaster Management and Relief Ministry. The notification also said direction was given to take necessary measures to prevent post-flood waterborne diseases. Field hospitals have been prepared in the flood-hit districts to ensure health services, it added. Expatriate Bangladeshis sent around 172 crore US dollar remittances during the first 24 days of August, which is 30% more than the same period of the last year. Of the amount, 126 crore dollars have come in the last 2 weeks. When the government shut down the internet and enforced curfews throughout Bangladesh during the anti-quota movement in July last, the flow of remittances was low. In protest of the oppression of the Sheikh Hasina government, expatriate Bangladeshis launched a campaign to refrain from sending remittances. After the Sheikh Hasina regime fall, foreigners once more launched a campaign to remit money through the official channels. According to experts, this is the reason for the rise in remittance inflow. They said a congenial atmosphere needs to be established to attract the expatriates to invest in the country besides receiving remittance. Now, international news. The World Health Organization has announced that Israel has agreed to limited humanitarian pauses to allow for vital polio vaccinations in Gaza, but they will only happen in certain places at certain times. World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the pauses are set to begin on September 1, with teams on the ground needing the next 48 hours to ensure logistics are in place for the rollout of a vaccination campaign. Meanwhile, Israeli attacks killed at least 79 Palestinians and wounded 77 in the last 24 hours, besides a strike in central Gaza overnight, killing 9 members of the same family, including a pregnant woman and her unborn child. China condemns Israel at UN Security Council meetings, saying, "We must never allow the same humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza to happen in the West Bank, which will turn the West Bank into another hell on earth." At least 40,602 people have been killed and 93,855 wounded in Israel's attack on Gaza since October 7. A Ukrainian military source has told the BBC one of the F-16 fighter jets sent from NATO allies to Ukraine has been destroyed. Ukraine's military said the aircraft went down amid a barrage of Russian missiles on Monday, killing pilot Oleksiy Mess. It marks the first loss of its kind since the planes were delivered earlier this month. The cause of the crash was not a direct result of an enemy missile strike, the Ukrainian military claims. It said the pilot destroyed 3 cruise missiles and 1 drone in Russia's largest aerial attack to date. Oleksiy saved Ukrainians from deadly Russian missiles, the Ukrainian Air Force wrote in a statement on social media, unfortunately at the cost of his own life. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky officially confirmed on Tuesday the US-made F-16s were being deployed to shoot down Russian drones and missiles. This week he asked allies to allow Ukraine to use long-range missiles to hit targets further into Russia. Now, sports news. Cricket. The first day's play of the second and final test between Pakistan and Bangladesh was called off due to persistent rain and a wet outfield at Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium today. Even the toss was not possible as the players had to confine into the dressing room. Weather reports suggested that the second day's game tomorrow is also highly likely to be affected by rain. Bangladesh are leading the series by 1-0 following their landmark 10-wicket victory in the first test. The Tigers are now seeking their first ever test series victory over Pakistan. That's all from the newsroom. To end the news, a recap of the headlines. Pakistan Prime Minister Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif congratulates Chief Advisor Professor Mohammad Yunus, hoping goodwill between two South Asian countries to be translated for people's benefit. Relatives of victims of enforced disappearances looking for near and dear ones as related information coming out at the fall of Sheikh Hasina's government. People start returning to houses from shelters as floodwater starts receding. Around 172 crore US dollar remittance received during first 24 days of August. Israel agrees to humanitarian pauses to allow for polio vaccinations beginning on 1st September in Gaza. And first day's play of second and final test between Pakistan and Bangladesh called off due to persistent rain and wet outfield at Rawalpindi. Thanks to all for being with us. We invite you to watch our tomorrow's news at the same time. Khuda Hafiz.